This is the Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Parramatta Leagues Club, home of the Eels, and also home of Jack's Pale Ale.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. It is the tipping podcast for round number 9. Magic Round is here up in Brisbane. 8 games up in Brisbane starting on Friday night. Well, actually starting on Thursday night with the Women's Origin game between New South Wales and Queensland, but for the NRL starting on Friday night and ending on Sunday night. Now, the tipping podcast is brought to you by Assure Strata Reports. Find them on Instagram and give them a follow, and also Buddy Oldman Masters Boxer on Facebook. Give him a follow as well. They are the proud sponsors of the tipping competition, which the Paracave Podcast is running, and we have a new leader after 9 rounds. Diggs_96 has taken the lead on for and against, and we have Jaden Zaid at second, Bluffler at third, Pluke at fourth, Zetna275 at fifth, Pricey08 in sixth, Amanda WW at 7, and G'day Rick at rounding out the top 8. Myself, I am in 37th position on 36 points. And it's a lovely, warm welcome to my co-host, who hasn't been here for a couple of weeks. Ella, how are you going today?
Good. It's good to be finally back.
Yes.
Right now in the tipping podcast, I'm in the 84th spot. I only got 2 right last round.
Ah, yes, but there was a special reason because of that, wasn't there?
Yes.
What was the reason?
I didn't do my tip.
Right. Who did your tips?
Grandma.
Right. Yes. Well, being school holidays.
You know, I was there, so I was like, you can do my tip.
Yeah, so being school holidays, Ella went over to Grandma's place the last 2 Tuesdays, I think, and that's why Ella was missing from the podcast.
Yeah.
And she decided to get Grandma to do her tips. So
yeah. Well, that was only last week, not the week before.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Let's see if
Let's
see if you can tip better than Grandma this week.
Yeah.
Have you let her know how she went?
No.
Okay, no worries. She might be listening to this anyway.
Probably.
Okay, so as I said, New South Wales versus Queensland in the Women's Origin game number 1 is first. But we are concentrating on the NRL, and it is the Sharks taking on the Parramatta Eels.
Of course.
Now, the Sharkies are the home side and the Eels are the away side in this one. Now, Kyle Iro is back for the Sharks, which is great news for them. And just a one change for the Parramatta Eels side, with Kelma Tuolagi suspended. Charlie Geimer comes into the back row. So a pretty good looking side. Again, Mitchell Moses backs up for his second game of the season. Now, last time they played was last season, and Mitchell actually starred in this game. Parramatta won 34 points to 22. That was at Combank Stadium, and you can remember, I think that was the game that got Mitchell into Origin. I think it was Origin 2, after a lengthy layoff at the start of last season as well. So happy memories there. Let's hope that memories can last for this game as well. Parramatta don't have a great record at Magic Round. I don't know the exact figures, but I think they have won half and lost half, I think, or probably lost more than half, to be honest. But good to be the first game up. Now, Ella, you are tipping the Sharks. I know that because you never tip Parramatta.
Yeah, isn't that the game you're going to?
Yes, I will be up there for that game. Cannot wait.
Yeah, for your birthday.
Yes, which is the next day.
Yeah.
But I will be up there.
Happy early birthday.
Oh, yes, that's it.
Everyone in the Instagram comments, spam happy early birthday.
And I will be tipping Parramatta. I think they've got a good chance coming off the bye.
Well, yeah, of course, you're tipping
winning
Parra.
that one. The next game on Friday night, the 2nd of May, 8:05 p.m, sees the Roosters take on the Dolphins. Now, last start winners, the Roosters over the Dragons in the traditional Anzac Day game, 46 points to 18. The Dolphins, they went down to the Raiders down in Canberra, 40 points to 28 after leading 28-10 at half-time. So very disappointing for them. But they were pretty much sort of the form team leading into that game against the Raiders, having beat the Storm, Panthers and Titans. The Roosters had a good win against the Broncos, lost to the Panthers, and then beat the Dragons. So, the Roosters in 13th and the Dolphins in 12th. So, very similar positions for them. Now, for the Roosters, again, Sandon Smith and Hugo Savala will line up in the halves. And for the Dolphins, Felice Kafusi returns. Daniel Saifidi is out, unfortunately, with a shoulder injury. Jeremy Marshall-King has been named after suffering a leg gash in the round 6 win over Penrith. Ray Stone shifts to the bench. So a few changes there for the Dolphins. But look, this could go either way, this game. Of course, the Dolphins beat the Roosters in 2023 when the Dolphins came into the competition. So we will just have to wait and see what happens in this one.
The noises in the background.
That's it. Ella, who are you tipping in this one?
This one, I'm going for the Dolphins.
The Dolphins. Yes, look, I think the Dolphins could get this win as well.
Which is good.
Yeah, so we've got one the same there. I think the Dolphins potentially... And yeah, as I said, I think this game could go either way. You just don't know what sort of a Roosters side will turn up. And look, the Dolphins, they'll be disappointed about giving up such a lead against the Raiders. So, but we both have tipped the Dolphins.
Yes.
The first game that kicks off on Saturday, 3 p.m, all at Suncorp Stadium, sees the Rabbitohs take on the Knights. Now,
on your birthday?
Yes, that is Saturday the 3rd of May, my birthday. And it's also Federal Election Day as well. So the country will go and vote for who will be the Prime Minister as well. So that will be an interesting day, that is for sure. The Rabbitohs in 11th spot, the Knights in 15th spot. The Knights, look, they have really been struggling over the last few weeks, just trying to score points. I don't know where their points are going to come from, to be honest. They have, as I said, really struggled over the last few weeks. 5 straight losses now for the Newcastle Knights, 3 straight losses for the Rabbitohs. They couldn't kick that hoodoo down in Melbourne last week on Anzac Day. They lost to them 24 points to 16, so they haven't kicked that hoodoo. They do have a few injuries as well, as we know. No Jamie Humphries, no Cody Walker. Latrell Mitchell is suspended for this game, a one-match ban, which sees Jack White and shift to 5'8". He will partner Jaden Sullivan. Jai Gray, who was the 14 last week, he'll go back to fullback where he was setting the world on fire and leading the Dally M's at one stage there. Tallis Duncan is promoted to the starting side. Lachlan Hubner returning from concussion on the interchange bench. For the Newcastle Knights, they get a couple of troops back as well. Jacob Saifidi is back. Adam Elliott is back as well, returning from calf injuries. Elliott on the interchange bench. Saifidi in the front row. Tyson Frizzell goes back to the lock. Matthew Croker shifting to the bench. So, look, this one could go either way. Last time they met last season, it was an away victory for the Newcastle Knights, 36 points to 16. Look, I just don't know where the points are going to come from for the Newcastle Knights. So, Ella, who are you tipping in this one?
The Rabbitohs.
Yeah, look, I think the Rabbitohs can probably turn it around.
Which is definitely good.
Yeah, I think they can...
Because we want them to win.
Yeah. Look, I think they can probably turn it around, their loss last week, and get back in the victory circle. Newcastle, I just don't know where they're going to score points, to be honest, but only time will tell. Now, this next game should be a cracker of a game. Two teams that are in form at the moment, the Warriors and Cowboys. Fourth place, the Warriors, the Cowboys in sixth spot at the moment. Both teams coming off wins. The Cowboys probably seem to be the form team of the competition at the moment. 4 straight wins, a big win against the Titans last week. They beat the Rabbitohs, Panthers, Raiders. The Warriors, they are pretty much they've had 2 wins in New Zealand back to back against the Newcastle Knights and the Brisbane Broncos. And then they lost to the Storm pretty badly, but 2 wins before that one. But they are sitting pretty in 4th spot at the moment. Now, for the Warriors, they have pretty much the same starting side that got the job done last week. Only one change to the interchange bench. Tamari Martin comes onto the bench. Jacob Love unavailable after he was placed in concussion protocols. Look, the Cowboys, they are pretty settled as well. No changes to their 17 that defeated the Titans. So that is great news for them. So that's what you want in rugby league, is a pretty settled team. It'll be interesting to see how the Warriors go away from New Zealand. So, Ella, who are you tipping in this one?
I am going for the Cowboys.
Yeah, look, I'm going to tip the Cowboys as well. I just think
we've mostly been having the same tip.
Yeah, we've only got a couple different, I think. But
because the Eels game.
Yeah.
And
there might be a couple others on the way, but I just think the Cowboys, they are hot to trot. Been in Queensland as well. I think they will get the job done. The last game on Saturday night should be a pretty good game as well. The West Tigers, who had a golden point victory over the Cronulla Sharks at Leichhardt Oval, they see themselves in their favourite position, 9th position, and the Dragons are in 10th position. They had a loss against the Roosters on Anzac Day, 46 points to 16, having had a couple of wins previous to that against the Sea Eagles and Titans. The Tigers had a loss to the Eels on Easter Monday and a win against the Newcastle Knights up there at Newcastle. Certainly the return of Lachlan Galvin was a great thing for the West Tigers last week. A great try assist for the first try and a try-saving tackle on Tom Hazelton, which would have given the Sharks the victory, but a great try-saving tackle from them. So they've got the same... Benji Marshall has named the same team that got that victory. So Lachlan Ilias has been dropped back to the reserves. So Lycan King Togia has wearing the number 7 jumper. So there are a couple of changes for the Dragons. I know Coach Flanagan will not be happy about the loss last week. This is going to be an interesting game, I think. This is a game that could probably go either way. The Tigers and Dragons, either way. You just don't know. Although the Tigers this season are playing a lot more consistent football, I think, than what we have seen previously, having won 3 wooden spoons in a row. So the Dragons, they're a little bit hot and cold in this year's competition at the moment. But as I said, you just never know what will happen. Last time they met, it was a big win last season to the Dragons, 56 points to 14. That was at Wollongong, I think it was. So, Ella, who are you tipping in this one?
I am tipping the West Tigers.
Look, I think I tipped the Tigers as well in this one. I think it's
You're
just
checking
going to be.
your tips?
Yeah, I did tip the Tigers in this one. I think just the way they're playing at the moment, a little bit of confidence, consistency as well. This is a game that they'll want to get a victory, that is for sure. I mean, they want to get a victory in every game, but
Well, yeah.
they probably would have circled this one as a win for them, you would have to think. They are in a better position at the moment than the Dragons. Only one position in front of them, but nevertheless, they are probably playing a little bit better footy.
Well, that's good.
The last day of Magic Round sees a couple of cracking games. The competition leaders, the Bulldogs, they take on the Gold Coast Titans. Now, look, I think this will be a Bulldogs. I'll just come straight out with it. I'm tipping the Bulldogs.
Same.
Now, but the Bulldogs will have a few changes. Now, that is due to suspensions. Obviously, Matt Burton, Josh Curran and Satili Tupanua are suspended following last week's loss to Brisbane. Bailey Hayward, who's done a job before, will line up at 5'8". Daniel Saluka Fafita takes Josh Curran's place in the front row. Curtis Moran and Blake Taff are the new faces on the bench. So, a few changes for that Bulldogs side. For the Titans, David Fafita has been relegated to the reserves bench. Coach Des Hasler perhaps looking to spark his side season. Jamin Jolliffe has been suspended. He's replaced by Isaac Fasul Malawi on a new look bench as well. So, unfortunately, bad news for the Titans. Brock Gray, his season is over after tearing his ACL last weekend in that game against the Cowboys, which they went down 50 points to 18. The Bulldogs, they had their first loss of the season against the Broncos, 42 points to 18, up there at Suncorp Stadium. So, look, Ella, you've already said the Bulldogs. I've said the Bulldogs.
So I don't think we need to ask each other who we tipped for that one.
No, so
because we both tipped the Bulldogs.
Yeah, so I think the Bulldogs will get back on track and get a victory in that one. The next game is, look, a grand final rematch of 2023. A tale of two sorts here, with the Broncos sitting in 5th spot, the Panthers sitting in 17th spot, which you would not think would have happened. That is for sure, being the 4-time premiers, finding themselves in last spot on the ladder. But look, a few changes for the Panthers. Luke Garner returns upon a concussion spell. Brian Toto, though, a big loss for the Panthers. He remains another week away from a hamstring injury. Big loss for the Panthers, and he gets those meters back on kick returns, that is for sure. But so they are missing him. Luke Summerton has been named at hooker. Brad Schneider ruled out with an eye injury, so that is definitely no good there. So a few changes to the Penrith side. For the Broncos, Jordan Ricky returns. That's the only change. Brendan Piakura shifts to the interchange bench. Tyson Smoothie, the 18th man. So a little bit more settled in the Broncos side. Selwyn Cobbo remains at fullback in the place of Reece Walsh, who is injured. Ella, who are you tipping in this one?
This might be a surprise because I usually tip Panthers, but I want to get one tip right at least.
Okay.
So I'm tipping the Broncos in this one.
Tipping the Broncos.
Not Panthers. I'm breaking my streak.
Going against your team.
Yeah.
For the sake of a competition. I like it.
Because, I want to be in at least the top 10.
Yeah. Well, that is good. Look, I think the Broncos will get the victory as well. I just think Penrith are struggling at the moment.
Yeah.
Look, I might be called out for this, but I do think that a lot relies on Nathan Cleary in this side.
You're probably definitely going to get called out for that.
Probably.
And I see we're on the last game.
Yes, and look, he is the chief playmaker, but it probably shouldn't be all down to him. I think they are missing Jerome Luai and obviously James Fisher-Harris as well in the middle. But look, things aren't going right for them. They're just making errors and giving away penalties as well. But look, I think the Broncos can get the victory in that one. The last game of Magic Round. Look, this one should be a cracker as well, to be honest. So there is the last game, the 8th game. This is a really good one as well because it sees the Melbourne Storm, who sit in second spot on the ladder, play the Canberra Raiders, who sit in third spot on the ladder. The Canberra Raiders, look, they turned it on last week against the Dolphins, as I said before, 28-10 down at home against the Dolphins and ended up winning the game 40 points to 28. News today of Jamal Fogarty signing with Manly for 3 seasons starting next year, the replacement of DCE. All in good taste with the Raiders. They wanted to keep him, but just simply couldn't give him that extra season. Manly gave him 3. The Raiders could offer 2. So the Raiders let him go, Ricky, with his blessing. The Melbourne Storm, they had a good win again against the Rabbitohs. That's the 20th win in a row down in Melbourne against the Rabbitohs on Anzac Day. An uncharacteristic loss the week before against the Dolphins probably spurred them on with that one. But for the Melbourne Storm, Sua Fa'alongo, who's a great player, has been named on the wing, being cleared of concussion. Tui Kamikamica is on track to make his return from an ankle injury as well. So that is good news for them. For the Raiders, no change for the Raiders as they prepare for this game, the final game of Magic Round. So great to have, as I said before, that consistency in the side. Look, this I don't know which is going to be the match of the round, but this one will probably have to be right up there. Look, I think potentially as well the Warriors and Cowboys could be the match of the round. Panthers, Broncos, maybe. But this Magic Round lineup is probably looks like it will be the best lineup in Magic Round that we have ever seen. But Storm and Raiders, Ella, who are you tipping in this one?
I am tipping the Storm.
Yeah, look, I'm tipping the Storm as well. I just think...
You just think?
Yeah, I just think they're a pretty consistent team. They've got a great half 5'8" Cameron Munster, Jerome Hughes. So I just think they can get this job done. The last time they played, it was only a small victory to the Storm, 16 points to 6. I think they can get the job done in what could be the
You
match
say
of
get the
Magic.
job done a lot.
Yeah, I know, sorry. And Manly, they have the bye this year in Magic Round. So Tommy Turbo gets a week off. So I think we've only got one different, I think, this week. 2 different.
What?
No, 1 different. We've only got 1 different this week. The Sharks and Eels, the very first game.
And then All of our tips are the same.
Yep, so I'm tipping the Eels, Ella's tipping the Sharks, and then for the rest of the round, we are both tipping the Dolphins,
Rabbitohs. Oh.
Cowboys.
I thought you were going to say...
You go the next one.
West Tigers.
Bulldogs.
Broncos.
And...
Storm.
So there you go. Follow our tips if you want to.
Do follow our tips. But if you want to, that's fine.
Yeah, as we said at the top of the show, Ella didn't do her tips last week, so hoping to improve on 2. I think it was 5 out of 8 last week, so still not too bad.
You're always going to say that.
Yeah, so
you got 5 out of 8.
5 out of 8, so not too bad, but still haven't got that perfect round. Maybe Magic Round might be the perfect round, but as I said...
I think it might be my perfect round.
Well, that'd do you the world of good. You get extra 2 bonus points in the tipping competition, so...
Yes.
So
and I'll move up the ladder very quickly.
Very, very quickly. So, look, give Ashore Strata Reports on Instagram a follow. Give my buddy Old Man Masters Boxer on Facebook a follow as well. Enjoy your Magic Round. It's a great round of rugby league. As mentioned before, I will be up there in Brisbane, so if you see me out and about, come and say good day. We'll talk some footy.
Yes, definitely say hello to him.
Okay, yes. We'll talk some footy. And look, I'm looking forward to seeing all the old retro jerseys come out and Magic Round. There's some great retro jerseys that come out in the crowd.
And vote on his Instagram post for what jersey you want him to wear.
Yes, so I'm up there for 3 days, so I've got to take 3 jerseys with me, so I've already done one today, and over the next couple of days I'll put up another couple of posts about another couple of other jerseys. So
for the post that you already did, I chose B.
Right, yes, that was a pretty common common answer, that one, so that one looks like it might be a winner. Even though somebody did say not to wear that 2001 jersey because it could be bad luck. But, look, I've got to go with what the fans say.
Yes.
So,
you should go with what I say.
Yes, potentially
I'm
as well.
your co-host.
That's right. Look, thank you very much for listening. I'll be doing a game day preview podcast as well. That will be coming out as well. So, thank you very much for listening. Share it with your family and friends. Follow me on Instagram as well. Stay tuned for the journey.
And subscribe to the podcast on YouTube.
Thank you. Enjoy your Magic Round Rugby League and the Para Cave podcast by the fan for the fans. Go Para.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. See you next time.